welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, and at the request of Patreon subscriber Something Snazzy, this is the Blue Moon Stompy Challenge. If you're a fan of Thraben University over at youtube.com/ThrabenU, that is my podcast co-host Phil Gallagher. Check out the Eternal Glory podcast, by the way. Phil is known for playing Stompy decks and non-blue prison type things. Something Snazzy has told Phil to build the best Blood Moon Urza Saga deck that he can. And I've been given the other half of the coin, build the best blue Urza Saga Harbinger of the Seas deck that I can. Both of us are releasing our sides of this challenge today, and whoever does better gets a prize from Something Snazzy. I decided to lean in on the Ancient Tomb thing because really, honestly, and I have had this conversation with both Something Snazzy and Phil, I'm behind on this challenge from the jump because Blood Moon Stompy has been a tier 1 deck for 6 or 7 years in various forms in Legacy, and Harbinger of the Seas is generally not even a main deck card. Not even that common in sideboards these days. So Phil had solid framework to start with, and I had the option of what blue decks play Urza Saga, and it's basically Patchwork Stompy and Painter. Those are kind of the two. And it doesn't make a lot of sense when you're already filling out slots to try to support a combo in a deck like Painter to then make room for a bunch of Harbinger of the Seas. For that reason, I decided to go with Patchwork Stompy. The goal of this deck is lock the opponent out with cards like Chalice of the Void and now Harbinger of the Seas, just long enough to hit them to death with something like Patchwork Automaton, a 2-drop, 1/1, ward 2. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, put a +1 counter on this. This card hits really hard, it's hard to remove. Emery, excellent card advantage engine, can keep the threats coming, can keep the Patchwork Automaton growing, can keep the cards coming. The blue build gets access to Thoughtcast, Stock Up, Force of Will, Metallic Rebuke, rather than locking out the board completely with more things like Trinisphere or whatever it is that the red decks do. We have blue counter magic to back up our spells. In order to support Harbinger of the Seas, I had to change some of the artifact mana kind of away from Mox Opals and into Chrome Moxes. That's just a good place to put the second Harbinger while fueling all the other artifact synergies. It's another way to get Patchwork Automaton down on turn 1. And I guess I buried the lead here a little bit. The reason that this challenge was given is because the rules around sagas have recently changed with the release of the Final Fantasy set. Now, if a saga loses its abilities or becomes something else, it doesn't die immediately, which is how the rules worked for as long as Urza Saga has existed. Now, if a saga loses its abilities, it simply stops advancing until it gains its abilities back. So an Urza Saga that has gone through Chapter 1 and then Harbinger of the Seas comes down is now an island that can tap for blue or colorless because it doesn't lose the ability. A Saga that's gone to Chapter 2 can tap for blue or colorless or make a construct every turn, which is the potentially busted interaction that everyone is exploring right now. Blood Moon style effects just went from excellent answers to Urza Saga to potentially excellent combos with Urza Saga. One of the most dramatic flips of card interaction in the history of Magic, as far as I know. Has a rules change ever turned something from a hate piece into a combo piece? I'm not sure. But this is where we are. This is what we're doing. I'm playing the blue side. I've got Patchwork Stompy, Patchwork Automaton, aka Patches O'Houlihan. If you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ward trigger. Let's do it. This is my side. I'm on the draw in round 1. I have a turn 2 Emery, which is pretty slow, but I do like this Force of Will, and if I draw any artifact I can cast, Emery's on. I'm going to try this. Like Chrome Mox is good, Lotus Petal's good. A lot of play here. Patches of Houlihan, good draw. Chalice, good draw. Not a lot of bad draws, in fact. Uh-oh, Urza Saga, they're on to me. Phil, is that you? Oh no, it's the mirror match. Alright, well, there he is, Patches of Houlihan. Deploy that. My own Mox Opal. Unfortunately, I am an artifact short of casting Emery here. I do not have Metalcraft. But I do have a threat on the board. This Urza Saga is a little bit spooky, though. This could be Red Painter. It could be Blue Painter. It's probably not actually a mirror match because Patchwork Stompy's not that popular right now. Okay, Black Saga Storm. Or some sort of Black Stompy something or other. Clearly not a mirror match. Okay, this Chrome Mox turns on constructs. Okay, it's definitely Storm. They just pitched their Gaia's Will. That makes Beseech the Mirror less scary. They don't play two of those. I am now pretty pleased with the Force of Will in my hand, but I am worried about the Urza Saga half of their deck. Another Patches. Alright, I mean, I'll take the beats here. This will turn on Mox Opal and let me play Emery without taking any additional damage. Would I rather Emery or Thoughtcast? Because I can play Sink into Stupor as a land and Thoughtcast. I think Emery's better. There's a Chalice and another Patches in the graveyard. I'm going to play Soporific Springs tapped. And they can make a 3/3 construct right now, which would be a trade. I'm losing the battle if they get a turn. I do have Sink into Stupor. Alright, I'm not winning this race, so I'm not going to engage in it. Sink into Stupor can bounce a construct, and it's gone. They do kind of have to respect this Chalice of the Void in the graveyard if they want to do anything with the other half of their deck. Float a mana, get LED. If they have, like, Duress into Echo, this is pretty scary. If they don't Duress me first, I'm in pretty good shape. Wishclaw Talisman, fun. I'm just going to let that shit resolve. That could be a Duress. Like, they could wish for Duress, Duress me, and then Echo from hand. But that's just a blind spin into a fresh 7 cards, and I untap with the Wishclaw. Another Saga, disappointing. But they didn't make a construct with the first one. Like, my biggest fear here is them just settling into Saga Gaming and out-muscling me with basically what my own deck's trying to do, and they have not committed to that. Unfortunately, with the second Saga, they don't need to commit to that. Even if they just, like, try to combo this turn, get stopped, and then start making constructs next turn, I have a problem. Okay. They just dumped mana out of their LED. Their hand was Spire of Industry. They're all in on this Wishclaw Talisman now. Natural Tendrils is only a drain for 6. Like, that's not something I have to worry about. And them cracking the LED and making their Wishclaw wish before combat makes their construct 2 points smaller. Ad nauseum. Okay, well, I'm obviously countering this. The question is, do I want to pitch Thoughtcast or Sink? If I pitch Thoughtcast, then I don't have a reload. Oh, I have Wishclaw Talisman. I can reload. Yeah, okay. I think I would rather answer their construct and bring the beats. Not even interested in the Saga half of the deck. They're just Black Storm. Great. Okay. Force of Negation, Flusterstorms. Those are the good cards. And we are, unfortunately, in that spot that occasionally comes up in a Brew Challenge video where the thing I've been asked to do is by far the worst part of the deck. This doesn't even kill Urza Saga anymore. They're a deck with a bunch of basic swamps in it. In my talks with Something Snazzy, like, so I do check in with people and what's important to them in the league. And some people will tell me, if you owe 5 but do the thing once, that's fine, and that'll make me happy. Other people say, I want it to be interesting and competitive within the framework. And the truth is that sometimes competitive decks board out things that are part of their main deck plan that are not good in certain matchups. And I do not think Harbinger of the Seas is a particularly defensible Magic card in this matchup, and I'm not going to try to force it where it doesn't fit. Soul Guide Lantern can stuff a Gaia's Will. There is some value to a Disruptor Flute, Shadow Spear, Aether Spellbomb. There's value there, but I'm not reaching for that. Chalice is pretty good. Bauble's slow, but it does help with my pressure. I might be able to cut Basic Island, actually. They're not going to attack my mana, and the game's going to go fast. Or Wasteland. No, Wasteland can kill their Saga. Nope, Wasteland's good. All right, here we go. 4 counterspells in, basic land, and a bunch of Harbingers out. Well, this hand stinks real bad. Smells like a butt. Memory Guardian is a cool, relatively new card. It's from Aether Drift, same set that Stock Up is from. It's actually also an uncommon from Aether Drift. It's the same thing as Stock Up, basically. If I wasn't trying to squeeze a bunch of Harbingers in, there would be more of these in the list. This card's really cool. It supports Force of Will. It's a good threat. It triggers Patchwork Automaton. Does most of what you'd want. What it doesn't do, though, is pitch to Chrome Mox, unfortunately, because Chrome Mox was printed at a time when artifacts did not have color. And it specifically says you may exile a non-artifact non-land card from your hand. I wonder if they would still do that today. Just the rules text of add 1 mana of the exiled card's colors. You never would have been able to tap this for colorless mana, even if you could imprint an artifact to it. Like, I genuinely wonder why that text is even there. Maybe they saw into the future where Magic had lots of colorful artifacts in it and didn't want to support this sort of nonsense. I'm going to mulligan this hand, though, unfortunately. Okay, this is 5 cards, and we finally got to keep. I'm going to bottom Lava Spur Boots for sure. And I don't think... Okay, so I could bottom one of the forces, but if I keep the forces... Alright, I'm going to bottom Saga. The reason for that is if I get Thoughtseize or Duress here, I still have Force Blue card. They can't take me off it. And if they settle into Saga Gaming, I have Wasteland. I think it's my job to answer these questions more than it is to pose my own questions in this particular matchup. Well, they've asked quite a question here. Yeah, that resolves. I would rather have this than not have it. Like, if they're sending, they're sending. And then I get a Wishclaw Talisman, which also helps with my affinity. If I counter that, they might hold this mana back a little longer. This isn't a natural Tendrils, which is the one thing I need to kind of worry about. They might have been able to get me with like Ave Progenitor Ooze or Stormscale Scion, but they didn't float enough mana for cards like that. Okay, they are insanely in here. I'm just going to counter now. I think they're just going to scoop to this, but I don't want to get surprised by something that I didn't think of. Oh, baby, Soul Guide Lantern? Okay. Soul Guide Lantern stops Beseech from even being a thing if they find one. I'm going to exile Lion's Eye Diamond. That's a card that they might like to loop. I didn't play the Saga first because I would actually like a construct to win this game with. And I hope they don't draw Echo of Eons right now. We did it. We dodged. More mana. Mana's good. I could Wishclaw for something. Like, I could Wishclaw for a blue card. But I don't really want them to have this Wishclaw back. I don't think I can lose this game if I draw a blue card ever. I might just bust the guide to draw a card in the end step. That's not the type of blue card I meant. There we go. And now Seat of the Synod gives me stable mana. I don't know what it would take to lose this game from here. I'm feeling pretty good. I guess their hand would be like exactly Duress plus Echo of Eons. Haywire might. Sure. If they want to sack multiple permanents to remove my Urza Saga that's already going to make a 3/3, they can have it. All right, that is not their worry. They're probably more worried about Chalice of the Void kind of stuff. Or just absorbing some combat damage. Lava Spur Boots will put the hurt on them. Yeah, Boots. Saga. They can exile Saga in response to this trigger or exile Boots before combat. Either thing works here. But they're about to get their head kicked in. We were not able to showcase Harbinger of the Seas in this matchup, but oh boy is Urza Saga a good card. No blocks, no action, just take it. I suspect from here Ad Nauseam wouldn't even kill me if it somehow was cast, but it's not castable with what they're showing. Mox Opal, okay. Now they could Haywire my Boots or my Saga without losing 2 artifacts, just 1. Right, Saga's up, Bauble. I'm a mana short of Lava Spur Bootsing. If I Wishclaw for Ancient Tomb, that gives them the Wishclaw. Oh, they're dead on board anyway. All right, I'm just going to attack. That doesn't even make sense to pressure them like that and give them the talisman back. Or wait, does it make perfect sense? I think I just missed lethal. Just saying random words and shit. What is this exiling? The Boots. Okay, that works. Well, this doesn't change the clock to make another construct. I'm actually just going to wasteland them. At this point, I'm just sprinting for the exit, and they have 1 draw step through Force of Will, and they have 2 mana to spend. Okay, I may have missed lethal last turn. I thought about a cool line and then unthought about it and then thought about it again after it was too late to do something with it. So if I Wishclaw for Ancient Tomb, activate Saga, equip Boots, I have 8888 98, and they have to kill the Boots before combat, which means they can't block the other two 7/7s. Yeah, I definitely had lethal last turn. Easy game. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play in round 2. I have a turn 1 Patches or a turn 1 Stock Up. I'm going to go turn 1 Patchwork Automaton and probably just chill there. Like, Chalice of the Void is bad for me here. Thoughtseize would be annoying either way, but it's probably worse if I commit something proactively to the stock or to the Chrome Mox. Okay, Ponder is great for me. Oh, another Patches. That's fun. A Saga. All right, Patchwork Automaton on the stack. Chrome Mox. Now I will dump this out. I have combat. It matters now. Pitch Sink into Stupor. And I could have played another Chrome Mox to get another damage through. Just don't imprint. But if they wasteland me, I might want another mana source. Oh god, I'm just getting shown and told. Shit. Well, I'm probably dead. Emrakul. That's not Omniscience. I don't really have answers to this. I think I want to use Chrome Mox to pitch Harbinger of the Seas and leave up as much mana as possible when I stock up. My Aether Spellbomb's in the sideboard. I don't even know if... I don't think I actually have anything here. Nope, just dead. Okay. Well, my exciting start thwarted by getting comboed out on turn 2. All good. Now we know what we're up against. Disruptor Flute comes in. Flusterstorm looks good. Force of Negation looks good. Basic Island I can live without. Graveyard Hate doesn't matter. Chalice of the Void on 1 is pretty good against them, but they can win through it. I think I'm going to back off some of the Chalices. I still need some number of artifacts to make my other stuff work. I'm going to shave 1 Harbinger of the Seas, but their deck has Ancient Tomb in it. If they have anything like Mistrise Village or a second color, the Harbingers can play. The Harbingers also help for my Chrome Mox. Aether Spellbomb giving me a chance versus... I think I'd prefer monsters just not come into play. I'm not going to mess with that. And it's tough to board in 7 cards. Every card in this deck matters. Maybe the Memory Guardian can back off. Do I think Island or Wasteland is worse? I think I want my Island back, and I'm going to go to Wasteland instead. And I either need 1 fewer card coming in or 1 more card coming out. Yeah, it might just be Emery's a little slow. Okay, I will try this. Okay, knowing the matchup, this is going to have to work. I like Disruptor Flute. I like Force Blue card. I don't like only Urza Sagas for mana, but I do get to Bauble. Ancient Tomb on top. Hate that. Mox Opal almost resembles mana. It will be mana on turn 3, so my second Saga can make 1 construct. Chalice of the Void. Fun. Interesting. Okay. Chalice could turn on Mox Opal. I don't really want a Chalice for 0, though. And with the Ancient Tomb in hand, they can just shove a show and tell here. I'm going to Disruptor Flute in their upkeep. All right, I'm going to let them force or brainstorm, and then I'll Disruptor Flute. Disruptor Flute. I hardly know her flute. Great joke. Great joke. Never gets old. Okay, Disruptor Flute. If they force this, I'm not going to fight back. Though having the artifact for the Opal matters. Okay, resolved. Show and tell is my name. There's the tomb. Stonks up. This would actually be an exciting turn to draw Harbinger of the Seas, because I can cast it off of Lotus Petal or Chrome Mox and lock a construct machine underneath it. Right, that did not happen. Load a mana here. Okay, Chrome Mox could pitch one of these things, then be a stable mana source. I think that's better than a Lotus Petal. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Chrome Mox and exile Thoughtcast. And then I'm just going to make a construct right now. Do I want to Chalice on 0? I still don't. Deck full of zeros makes it really awkward to do that. Brainstorm. That's the first spell that Chalice could have stopped if I had shoved it out there. I just really think dealing damage is more useful than locking out 1-drops here. Drawing another blue card would be great. Green revealed. Well, they could have Eurekas. If they're full Psycho mode, this could just be for stuff like Veil of Summer. Shuffle the library. Good. Next turn, they can cast Show and Tell. Come on, blue card. Oh, alright. Not a blue card, but it is good. Right, I'm going to push the damage here. Lava Spur Boots could get me in for a bunch, but then I can't Wasteland. I could just get Mishra's Bauble. I could get Lotus Petal and play the Chalice, but then I don't get to Wasteland either. I think I am going to get the Bauble and then take out Ancient Tomb with the Wasteland. Hopefully that sets my opponent back pretty far on this Disruptor Flute. I think I actually should have played the Chalice here. I'm going to play it second main, but I did just miss a damage. I could Bauble them, then decide. I'm going to Bauble. This is still a lethal attack. It's fine. Okay, I'm dumping this out. This will stop any Lotus Petals from coming my way. All right, blue card off the Bauble. Let's go. Nope. The art is blue. That should count for something. Okay, I have to assume that Disruptor Flute locked that whole game out on its own, or opponent just hit their fail rate in the most hilariously catastrophic way imaginable. Green mana revealed. I don't think I'm changing anything. All my counter spells are in. Chalice is even worse on the draw, and I'm already low on it. Not going to bring more in. And Wasteland was pretty good there, especially in combo with the Disruptor Flute. But I'd have to cut a blue card or an artifact to make room for that. Mishra's Bauble is probably where I start hacking next. I could cut one of the opals, maybe. That makes my draws slightly less explosive, but the second opal's not good anyway. And if I cut more non-opal artifacts, like that doesn't actually affect my artifact count for the first opal. Or for the second opal, or either opal. Okay, slow and steady, but I'm in. I can interact in 2 different ways, eventually deploy a threat, and if I find a blue source while Saga's on Chapter 2, we might do the thing. Island Ponder. A smart and handsome opening play. Did not shuffle. Emery, Lurker of Lock. Alright, I'm going to play Soporific Springs and pass. Okay, stock up is not Show and Tell. Good news, everyone, we did it. We dodged. 6 cards in hand over there. Lotus Petal, alright. That gets me Harbinger of the Seas. I could play Emery. I think it's more important to play Flute. I could play Flute and Emery. Oh, that's interesting. Alright, I'm going to do that. This means my Force of Negation can protect my Flute, which is a little disappointing. Right, we did it anyway. Show and Tell. That costs more. And now Emery, get in. The Emery can be Birds of Paradise here and just play Lotus Petal every turn. I don't mind losing that mana source too much. It would be weird if my opponent didn't fight over Disruptor Flute, then did fight over Emery. Another stock up. Polluted Delta. Another Saga, cool. Okay, Urza Saga from hand. Lotus Petal from the graveyard. I'm going for the Harbinger. It's time. Gotta live up to our potential here. Bang, it feels so unnatural to do this. This is the first time I have cast a Moon Effect into an Urza Saga. Okay. They don't want to get locked out. That's fair. Force pitching Brainstorm. I still get 1, maybe 2 constructs. I think 2 constructs out of this. And that costs my opponent Force blue card. I'll take it. Eureka. I don't want to play against that if I can avoid it. If you've never seen Eureka before, Starting with you, each player can put a permanent card from their hand onto the battlefield. Repeat this until no one puts a card on. So it's basically show and tell, and then more and more and more and more and more until you run out of the will to compete. Chalice of the Void. What do I think is important here? I do not think the answer to that question is a construct token right away. I think I'm going to get Mox Opal and then play Patchwork Automaton and then play Chalice of the Void. Target Mistress Bauble from my graveyard. Bauble. I might just die to show until next turn. They're getting pretty close to the right number. Bauble. Ponder. We did it. Successfully chalice something. Might just die here, but we did successfully chalice something, including the Lava Spur Boots in my graveyard. Mana number 6. Ooh, passing the turn. We take those. Okay, I am going to make a construct here. I could chalice on 2, but that doesn't matter. If I could get it to 3, that would be cool. Maybe I could have gotten it to 3. I don't know. Who cares? It's all fake. Bauble from the graveyard. Bauble. I actually can't play this chalice on 0 because the baubles are the things coming out of my graveyard. Emery just like barely does anything if I dump this out. Okay, I have put lethal on the board. Will this Sink into Stupor help me? It might, because I'm about to draw 2 additional cards. Tracks that go into your hand. I'll bauble you again. I can't risk passing priority. I would like to see if my opponent fetches and then bauble post-fetch, but if they just don't fetch, that's really bad. Okay, Atraxa just got shuffled away. I have 2 draws to hit any of my, I think, 5 or 6 forces left in the deck. Did not convert. Oh no. Oh no. Don't do stuff. Show and tell. Alright. Well, I have to put in Disruptor Flute. I'm going to name Atraxa here and hope I guess right. Atraxa Grand Unifier. Did we guess correctly, or do you have the Emrakul? Oh, Grizzlebrand that you can't use. Sink into Stupor might do it here. Seat of the Synod from the graveyard. Emery, target, Lotus Petal? Yeah, Lotus Petal gives me Metallic Rebuke. Okay. Okay. Stink into Stupid. Your big, stinky, stupid dragon, demon. 2 cards in hand, one of them's Ponder. We got the GGs. What a battle. Wow, that was sweet. All right, cool. Disruptor Flute doing the Lord's work there. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the play in round 3 with a quick Emery and a bunch of Thoughtcasts. I'll keep it. The Affinity hand. No defense or offense of any kind, but boy do I have mana and ways to look at more cards. Seat, Petal, play around Mindbreak Trap, LMAO. That matters in Vintage, doesn't matter here. Force of Will pitching Murktide Regent, okay. Lotus Petal, and I'm just gonna pass here. Thoughtseize doesn't change my hand at all. I don't want to sack a Lotus Petal to Thoughtcast, so I won't. I can cast Thoughtcast without losing any material next turn, if I'm patient. And this is before Bowmaster's online. Dang. Alright, Urza Saga makes my Thoughtcast even better. Now I don't have to play out the Chrome Mox to cast it. Patches of Houlihan. I don't think I'm going to be spewing off my Lotus Petals to deploy that card. I'm going to pass. I have Force Blue card now. I've got Saga ticking up. They're probably a Wasteland deck if they have Force and Murktide Regent. Ooh, a Bayou. Fun. Is this Bug Beans? Do we have an honorable opponent? Oh, yeah. Shout out, opponent. You rule. I'm going to try to counter your Beanstalk, but you do rule. A double Force, double Murktide Beanstalk was the start from my opponent. Getting through the forces before the bean comes down is pretty nice, though. Another Force of Will. I could go heavy on aggression here. It would cost me my Lotus Petals, but I would get Chrome Mox online. I think I'm going to do this. Patchwork Automaton, Chrome Mox, and I will pitch the Force because I'm going Construct Beatdown from here all the way in. This play cost me both Lotus Petals, but I think cashing in the Lotus Petals for another threat here makes enough sense. Witherbloom Command is a nightmare for me. If I lose this Chrome Mox, I lose everything. Okay. We survived. Murderous Cuts in their deck. Bowmaster's in their deck. They might have a Brazen Borrower, depending on their list. Fatal Push is in there. Wasteland is pretty dope. Not only because Wasteland is good against them, but this lets me grab my boots and get to real work here. Boots, Wasteland. If you got a removal spell, it's time. Okay, I'm in combat. Bowmaster is still alive here. Could absorb a bunch of this damage. But Raise the Alarm is not a very good legacy card. They're just back under the gun next turn if Bowmaster is what they have here. Sweet. Okay. I like Bowmaster. That's pretty good for me compared to... Oh, wow. That's a huge beating. They forgot about the war. Now they're not going to get an Orc army. We might get a shame concession here. Yeah, that should go face and then block. Or, I mean, I don't think you can afford to double block the patches unless you have Fatal Push in your hand. Fatal Push in hand still does save a ton of damage here. Okay, yeah, that was a pretty big mistake. 4 mana, 2 cards in hand. Witherbloom Command is less bad now than it was last turn. Fatal Push. There's a ward trigger on this one, but opponent can pay it this time. They must have just drawn that, because that would have been really good in combat last turn, and it wasn't used. Okay. 4 cards in the graveyard. If their hand is exactly Murderous Cut right now, I'm in some fearful situation. Oh god, it is! It actually is! The Beanstalk thing is happening. Here we go. Alright, Patchwork Automaton's got to get a lot of work done here. Alright, some artifact I can cast would be great. Something like Stock Up and other patches. I'll take Bauble. It's power and toughness. I'm not too proud. Boots on the patches. Now it has Ward 2 and Ward 1, which is technically different than Ward 3, but works out to be pretty similar. I am going to waste them off of green. They're drawing Brainstorm next turn. I'm drawing a random card. I hope the random card in their hand is not Bowmaster, as my Bauble triggers in their upkeep. We dodged. Alright, another patches. Opponents at 6, spinning their wheels. Mox Opal, I think, is the best draw in my deck right now. I would take Lotus Petal as well, but if I could play the patches, play something that grows it, and then also move over Lava Spur Boots, that's a lot of damage coming in. Life total diminishing. Ponder, alright, leaving up just Swamp. There's not a lot they can do with just a basic Swamp. The Ward 3, carrying a lot of weight. Did not shuffle. Tameo, that can block. Come on, Mox Opal. Lotus Petal. Wasteland is none of the above, but it does re-equip the thing. All right, cool. Automaton. I am going to move the damage around here. They can block the 4 and be at a higher life total, or block the 2 and keep Tameo for a turn. All right. Yeah, I think I would block the 2 as well. Okay, here we go. Moment of truth. Tameo's going to make blue. And then a concession. All right. So this game actually was decided by that missed ward trigger. That was worth 6 damage on that turn because they didn't have an Orc army to chump the 6 with. Like, I think if they're at 8 that game, they have a lot more going on. Okay, Aether Spellbomb, quite good versus the card Murktide Regent. Shadow Spear tramples over the Orc armies. This is actually a phenomenal matchup for Harbinger of the Seas. Finally delivering. Chalice of the Void is fine, but I don't want a lot of them. I don't think I'm going to be messing with the extra counter spells or the extra removal. It's really just Aether Spellbomb for sure, and I think Shadow Spear has enough utility to consider. I think I'm going to cut my basic island. They are a Wasteland deck, but having one basic island doesn't matter. I can't fetch it. It's that or Mishra's Bauble. Is cutting Bauble better? Alright, I'm going to play with fire and cut the land. Turn 1 Chalice or turn 1 Patches. Mana's real bad, especially if they have Wasteland. I do have Harbinger. I'm going to try this. Blue to Delta. And I've got Memory Guardian. Fun. Saga. Petal. I kind of want a Chalice here. It is a little all in, but this card is very good against a bunch of the stuff they do. It's terrible against Witherbloom Command. I get completely cooked by Wasteland, but my hand doesn't do enough proactively that I'm worried about that right now. I think I'd like to try to stop them from doing good stuff as long as I can. Ooh, Daze, all right. Well, that's annoying, but okay. Ancient Tomb is a great draw. Chrome Mox is fine. Isle Spellbomb. Yeah, I guess Emery's in my deck. Lotus Petal, all right. Try that. Try to play that same turn over again. Chalice of the Void. You board one out because you're always going to have two in the opening hand, and then you don't need them anymore. Right, if this Saga can tutor Opal effectively, that's a start. An artifact land's really good for me. Wasteland shit. Well, garbage time. Ancient Tomb. You think you can stop me? Okay. I'm back on the board. Now any blue source gets stock up running. Ooh, they have one land in play and just missed a land drop, and I have Chalice of the Void. Either Spellbomb, I could shove that into my Chalice, but it would cost me 2 life to get an extra counter on my Patchwork Automaton. I don't think I want to do that. Their Witherbloom Command deck, this Chalice might actually disappear at some point. Okay, another draw go. Can't even bust their Nile Spellbomb because their land is green. Chrome Mox, what's up? All right. I think, unfortunately, I have to pitch my Harbinger of the Seas here, even though it's a banger. This is a spot where Memory Guardian being an artifact sucks. I would love to pitch Memory Guardian here, but it has to be Harbinger because that lets me stock up. Then we'll see what's going on. I might even still cast Memory Guardian before combat this turn. Okay. Mox, Opal, Seed of the Synod, Metallic, Rebuke. All of these cards are good. I think I want Opal and Rebuke. Opal, and the way they've been stuck, I don't think I'm going to hold up Rebuke. I would have to not attack to hold up Rebuke here. I'm just going to cast Memory Guardian. First time ever casting this card in my life. They seem to be in the tank, though. If they Force of Will as Mox Opal, that is actually pretty effective. Or if they Daze it. I'm still ahead, but I don't get to cast my sweet Memory Guardian. I could have taken Seed of the Synod to play around a counterspell on Mox Opal here, but then I lose out on a trigger, and frankly, if they want to counter Mox Opal, that's fine with me. So why would they counter Mox Opal and not stock up that I cast before this? Yeah, I think this is going to resolve. Okay, we're in there. They were in the tank for a minute, but we did it. Memory Guardian's on the stack. Stock up into Memory Guardian on the same turn. The Aether Drift draft experience. Boom. I think they're in a lot of trouble. Something like Force of Vigor is still high impact here. If they hit a land drop and start gaming, that's high impact. This might not have been a mistake. Like, they may have just... Okay, well, the instant concession makes me think maybe it was, but they might have just been dumping cards for Murktide. Cool. Yeah, Chalice of the Void. I put a lot of resources into getting a Chalice. It cost me 2 Lotus Petals to get a Chalice finally onto the battlefield, but it does seem to have won the game. On to the next round. The run continues.
The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/TheResleevables.
On the play in round 4, gonna have to mulligan this Lotus Petal for mana. I don't have Mox Opal or Chrome Mox or Synchronous Super, any of my fake mana. Gonna mulligan this. Alright, here we go. Turn 1 Chalice. Keep. I guess if Chalice of the Void is my plan, I bought him Lava Spur Boots. But Lava Spur Boots is better if my Chalice gets countered. Yeah, I'm not going to play to that. All right, I'm going to just assume my spells will work and everything will be fine. Hold on. There's something else I can do. I'm going to bobble them anyway. So I should do it before I play Chalice in case I get information that, like if I see, all right, it's Kaito. So I am going to Chalice on 1. But if I had seen like Caves of Chaos Adventure on top of their deck, I would have Chaliced on 0 instead. That might deny them a bunch of mana. Or maybe I just don't play Chalice at all. Okay, so there's some sort of Dimir X tempo deck. I don't even mind Wasteland here because I'll just play Emery on my turn. And then we're cooking. Marsh Flats, interesting. That is not a fetch land that is commonly played in decks. I think I would like to get Emery going here, even though drawing that Saga was pretty cool. Okay, Opal and Bauble in my graveyard. Emery's good for mana or cards here, which are the 2 things I would want out of Emery. Undercity Sewer. Dumped another Kaito. My opponent just always has Kaito on top of their deck. In 100% of demonstrated instances, my opponent has had Kaito on top of their deck. Alright, that goes in the graveyard. They must be setting up a Murktide. I'm basically always going to give my opponent the benefit of the doubt in a situation like that. If my thought process could be, haha, this dumb idiot, they played into my Chalice, or, okay, why would they do that? I'm going to think, okay, why would they do that? And Opal lets me hold up Sink into Stupor, but Bauble draws more cards. Bauble plays really poorly into Orcish Bowmaster, though. That kills my Emery. So I'm actually going to do the super safe thing here, even if it does make me a big wuss baby. Okay. Bunch of land drops hit. Another Chalice. That's not something I need more than one of. Bauble. And I'm going to pass. I can't sink and make a construct, but by the time I would know if I need to sink, I should have made my construct. Yeah, they're definitely setting up a Murktide. Must be a future Murktide, though, because they've not actually played it yet, and they're at the resources necessary to do so. Thoughtcast, that's pretty cool. Okay, another construct, 2 to the Lava Spur Boots that I put back in the deck on my mulligan. Haste this thing up, and I think I'm just going to start by attacking. I don't want to make Bowmaster good with any sequence of plays. Yeah, if they just have to chump with it, that's fine. But that's why I didn't Thoughtcast, that's why I didn't Bauble pre-combat. Simply not interested in losing that way. Okay, just going face with that damage. Okay, leaving the Bowmaster itself in play. How many Sink into Stupors do I think I'm going to need this game? Can I play one as a land? I think I'm going to play one of them as a land. And then pass. Well, I think I should have moved my boots over onto Emery. That might have been a mistake. Okay, fetch. 5 cards in graveyard, Kaito in hand. Okay, Kaito resolves. This probably just has to lock down the construct it's allowed to target. Yep, okay. That's not bad. And then my opponent's at 11. I can play Chalice on 2. I could bounce Bowmaster. I think I like Chalice on 2. That's pretty sweet, actually. I do have some 2-drops in my deck, but they have ones like Orcish Bowmaster. Maybe they have Baleful Strix. Maybe they have a removal spell of some variety. Okay, they just don't want to play anymore after that. Cool. Pretty stern beating. Chalice on the play. Dimir Tempo is the name of the game. Dismember, Aether Spellbomb, Shadow Spear, cards I'm interested in. Soulguide Lantern has text versus Nethergoyf Murktide. Chalice was quite good there. Harbinger of the Seas is medium. Like, it does impact the game a little bit, but they're a base blue deck, and they have basic Swamp. I'll leave some in, but I'm going to board one out. I don't love Force of Will in this matchup either. It might be clutch in some spots to have access to one, but I really like the Metallic Rebuke and just play into the board more than that. Maybe I just won't bring in the other Dismember. Okay. And with my Spellbomb, Sink into Stupor, the counter spells, I'm not without removal, and a lot of their creatures like Bowmaster I don't have to care about in certain situations. There's going to be a lot of spots where I'm bigger than Murktide Regent too. Keep. This is a turn 1, 2/2 patches plus Emery. Tameo. Got in past my mighty wall of Chalice of the Voids, which I did draw. Okay. In that case, I will play Lotus Petal and play around Daze with this Chalice. Cool. We're in there. Do I want Emry to get dazed? I think that's fine. All right, here's Emry. If they daze me, that's a whole turn. They're not cracking clue tokens. And if they don't daze me, Emry's in play, which is great. Just good news all around. Wasteland, that's mostly fine. Like, Tamiyo just doesn't do anything on her own. Oh. Oh! Look at me with this too. Yeah, I'm going to go for it. We can play in the dirt together. Lotus Petal out of my graveyard. Blue to Delta. They're not going to concede yet. Plenty of game to still play. Urza's Saga. I could play Harbinger of the Seas right now. I could play Stock Up right now. I think I just want to play Patchwork Automaton. Get some damage on this board. Keep the Lotus Petal looping. If they didn't have Blue to Delta in play, I might have gone for the Harbinger, but knowing they could just grab Basic Swamp in response and not really be affected by it at all makes it not that exciting. Just Basic Swamp naturally. Okay, I'm likely to pitch this Harbinger to Chrome Mox now, next turn. They can start eating clues, but I can start piling on damage. A land would be a great draw here. Or Mox Opal, like some stable mana source. Land. Land counts. Land counts as land. You cannot play Seed of the Synod out of your graveyard with Emry before the comments. Ask me why I didn't do that. Because it's illegal, is the answer. I am going to pitch Harbinger. And just going to get to work here. Bash time. My mana is reserved for making constructs. Not going to Thought Cast into potential Bowmaster. I have Shadow Spear and Aether Spellbomb in my deck if they get anything going here. Something's like Hurkyl's Recall, which I would be genuinely shocked and distraught if they had in their deck. That would be quite good. They could conceivably have Dress Down, I guess. I don't think that's normally in this deck either, though. I like casting a Murktide or Barrogoyf, probably the most likely thing that would actually affect me here. And they didn't find what they're looking for. Just like that, we got a trophy round coming. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play in the final round. Missing a blue source here. This is Saga Gaming, but we're not in a format where Saga Gaming really stands on its own. Reanimator, Oops All Spells, the non-combo decks are Wasteland decks. I'm going to mulligan this. This one is better. I'm going to keep and bottom one of the Emrys. I'm going to play Sawperfect Springs tapped plus Opal and pass. Just taking the slow development plan. Oh, great. Some deck with basic planes in it. Prismatic Ending. That's fine. And it's not ideal, but it is fine. Okay, Lava Spur Boots. All right. Looks like Saga Gaming actually would have been great against this deck. This looks like some sort of blue-white, maybe Stone Blade, maybe Jeskai Control kind of deck that I would have liked to play 2 years ago. All right, mana, very important here. Shit. Oh, kind of bricked off, but opponent had a really good Prismatic Ending. Force of Will, pitching Cryptic Coat. Stoneforge Mystic confirmed. Okay, I'm in a little bit of trouble, but opponent does have to turn the corner on me here. Back to basics is pretty good. I'm going to get Chrome Mox and pitch Thoughtcast and play Emry. Okay, I hit 0 artifacts off of that. Snapcaster Mage, they're going to Prismatic End my Chrome Mox, huge beating. All right. You know what card's going to be really bad in this matchup? Harbinger of the Seas. All right, Emry has bricked and is doing nothing. This was my moment to do something, and it did not happen. Opponent's got 3 cards in their hand. Not trading for this shit. All right, land number 5, slammed Batterskull. Okay. Seat of the Synod. This gives me 1 shot to do something. If you only had 1 shot, 1 opportunity. All right, that doesn't even cast a spell. There's nothing to be done there. I could equip Lava Spur Boots and then concede. I'd rather not. Yuck. I am still holding on to this Emery because finding Lotus Petal and turning Emery into Bird of Paradise is actually quite good for me. Right now I'm dead. Okay. Back to basics. Look at that. All right, this is a refreshingly fair, silly little deck that we're up against. I don't think I'm going to need the Graveyard Hate. We saw Snapcaster Mage, but I'm not going to play Graveyard Hate just for that. Dismember, probably good enough to fend off stuff like Stoneforge Mystic. Disruptor Flute, we saw various equipments. You can name the Cryptic Coat. If you don't want to name the Stoneforge, you could name the Stoneforge. We could name Teferi. Shadow Spear might be good here. I think I kind of just want to Stompy this opponent out, though. I have a bunch of cheap interaction. I mulliganed a hand that actually would have been pretty solid against them because I thought they would be doing metagame stuff, but they're doing 2017 metagame stuff instead. And I mean that non-derogatorily, just matter-of-factly. All right, I think I'm going to go -1 Opal. I do have to respect Back to Basics as a card. I don't think I'm bringing in Shadow Spear. I think it's the Dismembers to make sure they don't cheese me with Stoneforge. I have 6 answers to probably what's maybe 2 Back to Basics. Oh, Harbinger of the Seas should not be in my deck. The reason for the season turns out to be largely incompatible with the metagame. I'm going to get 3 artifacts in here. Disruptor Flute, Shadow Spear, Aether Spellbomb. Sorry, guys. You saw my opponent's mana base. What are we even trying to do here? Okay. This is a turn 1 stock up with no follow-up. Or turn 1 Emery with no follow-up. I think I'm going to mulligan. Alright, Chalice of the Void. Keep. I guess I'm going to bottom Metallic Rebuke and then pitch Force of Will. Alright. Metallic Rebuke's out. Chrome Mox. Exile Force of Will. Saga. Chalice. Wrath of the Skies is probably in my opponent's deck. That's not a card I can ever beat. Right, Saga Gaming. Commence. Please don't Wrath of the Skies for 0. That will kill all of my permanents. Not with Basic Island, you don't. Cool. Oh, God. Meltdown's not great for me either. But, okay. Well, we're not in a good spot. I'm going to be honest, team. Float mana. Get. It's probably Lava Spur Boots. Boots. Equip Boots. Wasteland you. I would be surprised if there's 2 red sources in this deck, but the damage is already done. Ponder. I need this 3 and maybe 4 or 5 power creature to do all of the work here. Basic Island, shuffled, Basic Island, Ponder again. Did not shuffle. Probably means I've lost. But I am still casting spells, which is exciting. Okay, bang. I'm all in. Uh-oh. A different color of mana. There is another mountain in the deck. Pyroblast Emery. Okay, that wasn't Meltdown. Lotus Petal. Thoughtcast. Let's get it done. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Oh my goodness. Well, they're going to need another Meltdown. Hope they don't have it. Snap Meltdown does it too. Brainstorm. Please miss, please miss, please miss. The hero game from no resources. Another land. No! All right, well, I've lost. It just took 2 meltdowns. Okay, GG. A 4-1 bread and butter, playing against a off-meta deck that was quite good against me in that last round. As far as the core of the deck itself goes, and Chalice of the Void backed by pressure, tried and true. Urza Saga being a good card, tried and true. The Harbinger of the Seas stuff, there was one game where I put it on the stack and it did eat a Force of Will. There was one game where I was trying to line up a spot where it would have been quite good, but then my opponent drew their basic swamp and made it irrelevant. And then I boarded it out 3 other times because the matchups either did not affect my opponent at all, or the matchups are going to be so fast that it's not what the game's about. And that's what I was alluding to in the deck tech, where I talked about how Blood Moon, playing 6 to 8 main deck Blood Moons, is an established tier 1 legacy strategy, where Harbinger of the Seas rarely appears in decks, even in the sideboard right now. The difference between 2 and a color versus 1 color is significant. Like you're not going to turn one a Harbinger of the Seas. I guess it would take like Chrome Mox Lotus Petal land and a blue card to pitch. Just the extra, you need one extra step. I guess it is possible, like Petal land does it, but it's going to cost you 3 cards, 3 pieces to get there, where casting a Blood or Magus of the Moon on turn 1 is a 2-piece play. We also don't have a Spirit Guide. The Cowards haven't printed Merfolk Spirit Guide yet, but the red decks do get that. But, I mean, kind of in spite of having 3 cards that never came up in the deck, we still just ran over 4 opponents until we got double meltdowned in the last round. I'll take that as a W. I think what you want to do is probably play 4 Memory Guardians or 2 Memory Guardians and then move either Spellbomb and or Shadow Spear to the main, and then just play your Harbingers in the sideboard, where you can bring them in if the matchup is about that, and you might get some multiplier with the new Urza Saga rules. But trying to build a deck with the intention of making your Urza Saga into an island where it can make constructs forever, if Harbinger of the Seas is not good in the metagame by itself, that plan has problems. And we got some bans coming up. If the format slows down to the point where 5-color beans, bug beans, like beanstalk decks with greedy mana bases are what the format's about, if Cloud Post is in your local metagame, there's a bunch of reasons why you could build it this way. But in the metagame at large, I think these should be in the sideboard and just bring a couple of these toolbox cards into the main. And you've already improved the deck and you have something pretty cool to do here. And just doing a quick look, I believe there's 0 reserve list in this deck. That has always been a strength of the Thoughtcast Stompy decks, 8-cast, Patchwork Stompy, all of those things. Yeah, I mean, Ancient Tomb is an expensive card. Wasteland's kind of an expensive card. Force of Will is kind of an expensive card, but there's no $900 cards in this deck. This is a way to approach Legacy on a budget, and it's quite good. I'm going to leave this here. Something snazzy. Thank you for the challenge. Sorry the Harbinger didn't really work out, but the deck did, in spite of the Harbingers. We'll take that as a win. A 4-1 result. Good luck, ThrabenU over there. You got a high bar to clear. You have to trophy to beat me. I am happy with that result. Everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon to support the channel, and I'll see you next time.